Hi and welcome to No Second Season. In case you've not been here before, my name's Ange. Today I've come back to JB Plain here near Mount Hotham in Victoria, Australia. 2 weeks ago I was here and it was very snowy. I come today, there's very little snow. And that's because we've had 2 weeks of near 20 degrees sunshine, and in the last few days some very heavy rain, and the snow is looking very sparse. So it looks to me as though there's enough snow for me to try some cross-country skiing again. I've got a story for you too, a true life disappearance story. I'll tell you that later tonight. So here I go, off for a little ski. It's quite icy and it's surprisingly cold. So I skied down this very slight hill, but then the snow runs out and you stop dead, and I went flying. I'm really enjoying myself. It's just stopped raining. I'm quite wet. I fell over a couple of times. Oh, bollocks. Done it again. I've been trying to do that skating gait. So you go fast and lift one leg up and push. But because the shoes are so big, my foot's moving, but the skate and boot isn't moving with it. It's around 5 o'clock. I'm just walking across to the drop toilet. So this is JB Plain Hut, if you haven't seen it on any of my other videos. Here's the drop toilet. It's 6:15 now in the evening and I'm inside Madge Padge, and I've got the door cracked and I've got all 6 windows cracked because I've got the Cupid on and it's warming up the truck nicely. I know full well the dangers of carbon monoxide, so I'm being very careful. As I say, all 6 windows are cracked and I've got a door cracked as well. I've got the monitor up there, so it's up high. If I was buying another carbon monoxide monitor, I would get a really good quality one, and I'd get one that hangs up, because finding somewhere to put that one, hang it, it's got no hook or anything on it, is a pain in the butt. I forgot a load of things again. I forgot my sponge pants, which, no, they're not my incontinence pants. They are the protective mountain bike or skateboard pants. So you don't hurt your bum quite as much when you fall. And I forgot them again. How annoying. I forgot my GoPro mount, the chest mount for this one. my Hero 8, which will only work in the warm. As soon as I get outside in sort of 0 degrees or below, it stops working. It's utter rubbish. And I've just lost the back part of the frame that it sits in. It was in the car. It's not in the car now. I don't know what I've done with it. I forgot lots of things and I'm an idiot. But I am in the midst of making a list, a thorough, proper packing list for snow camping. I've forgotten my sleeping bag liner as well. And I've got some news for you on a sleeping bag. But first off, some news. Last time I was camping here, I forgot my shiwi. So what I've done now is made myself a little wee kit. I've put all of these items in my bike packing gear, inside my car emergency kit, which is an emergency kit that's in here always, and I've put it in my camping gear. So this bag is just a bag from something I bought at some point in my life. So I'll show you what's in my wee kit. I've obviously got a shiwi. It's not a genuine shiwi. That is a brand name like Hoover. Stick this end on your kajiba and the wee comes out the bottom there. I'll put some tissues in it as well. And then I bought these bags. This takes 800 millilitres. So instead of carrying bottles, which take up a lot of space, far too much for bike packing, I can use this and wee in this. So I've got 2 of those in my little kit. And also for emergencies only, because I'm not going to be shitting in a bag. Except in an emergency. And I haven't opened them, but it's called Wag Bag, and basically it's a bag you can poo in. That is also in my kit, so it should be called a wee and poo kit, but it's not. It's called my wee kit. I just wanted to tell you something in case you don't know and you're thinking about coming to the high country and you've not been before. And if you drive a diesel, now diesel will start to congeal at low temperatures, but at the filling stations in the high country there will be an additive in the diesel that will mean that it won't congeal at the temperatures expected to be seen here. But I buy my fuel in Albury, which doesn't have the additives, so I've been using this, and I can say it was absolutely fine last time I was here. It wasn't that cold, perhaps -5. The car was covered in snow for, I don't know, 30 hours. But I've been using this. It doesn't cost much. It's like 15 bucks. It's Penrite Diesel Winter Fuel Treatment. So I put 1 bottle of this in with 80 bucks worth of fuel. So that's about 40 litres. But this does between 50 and 100 litres. So I could actually put half in. But anyway, I put that in. That's what I used last time and it was great. So is it an inconvenience having to lay down all the time when I'm in here? Yes. But is it the end of the world? No. And I thought I just wanted to try sleeping in the cold in Madge, just to see how I managed. Now, I haven't bought a whole load of stuff, but I do bring quite a bit, and everything I have is inside. I don't carry anything on the roof or on the outside except my spare wheel, which is on the back door. Yeah, it'd be nice to have something bigger, but I wanted a four-wheel drive that can go on the fire roads and in the mud. I'm sort of really desperately wanting some mud and snow tyres, or at least some all-terrain tyres. I got caught out about 6 weeks ago. I didn't put it on film because it wasn't that interesting, I don't think, but I did try and go bike packing, and I drove 20 kilometres up a forest track, but the mud had just got worse and worse. And I was so glad I turned around when I did, because I actually struggled to get out. There was 3 easy river crossings, but the mud was deep and it was rutted. And it was harder getting out than it was getting up it. So yeah, it was an aborted mission, unfortunately. Third thing I wanted to tell you about was my sleeping bag. Now the sleeping bag I've slept in perhaps 50 times or more. I bought in 2013. It cost 70 quid and it served its purpose, but it's useless in the snow. Now I really wanted a haircut and colour, some highlights. And do you know how much it is here? And bear in mind, I've got next to no hair. I am nearly bald. It's $300. And do you know what? I thought, sod it. I am not paying that. So I've cut my own hair. It's just how I want it. Doesn't matter if no one else likes it. This is how I want it. A mullet, a retro mullet. I haven't coloured it yet. I'm holding off on that because that's a bit scary, because that can go very wrong. But I've saved myself $300. So I bought myself a sleeping bag. It was actually $400, but it's a pretty good one. And it's this. This is expanded at the moment. I could compress this down quite a lot. So it's quite a big diameter. You're probably looking at 10 inches diameter, whatever that is, 250 millimeters diameter. So I wanted a synthetic one. I did lots of research, watched lots of videos, spoke to people on Facebook pages, hiking pages, and I decided on this. And it's a Nemo Forte, and it's women specific, and it's in long, size long. It's got comfort level of -7 and a limit of -12, and extreme -29 centigrade, that is, or Celsius, whatever you want to call it. Now the shape of it is I think it's called a spoon shape, and anyway it's made for side sleepers, and I'm a side sleeper because that's something I struggle with my old sleeping bag. Is as soon as you roll on your side you're all knotted up. It's so funny. So let's have a look at it. I will say I laid down in it at home and the zip snags a lot. That's a real pain in the butt, but I'm not going to judge it on that. It's just mainly down the bottom. I don't know if you can see down the bottom here, there's this funny little gusset, I guess to stop draft. Yeah, it all snagged up in there. I have to get along because the regular is only up to 5'6" and I'm 5'8". I looked at quite a few that were for hiking in the snow, mountaineering or more like, and you're looking at $1,500. So here it is. I don't know if you can see it much. I've not done it up yet, but there's lots of material. It's not a mummy bag and it's not square. It's more like the shape of a peanut. I'm going to call it my peanut bag. Got a nice foot box, plenty of room for my feet down there. And it unzips, it only unzips down to there. I'll give you a better look at it at home, but it feels nice. It's got lots and lots of material. I think it's ever so pretty. So it's got teal, dark blue and light blue. Got high hopes for this. I hope it's as good as they say, and I will let you know. I think I'll stay in it now. Now I'm in it. It's nice and warm, and I could close the windows. I don't think I've shown you this. So when I want to eat in the car, I can jump in the front, and this just slots onto my steering wheel, and it's a little table. I'll list all my gear on my website, nosecondseason.com. There is a blog there. I'll put a link to that down below as well. And you can go on there and see all the stuff I buy, and you can buy it too through Amazon or eBay or otherwise. I will get a small commission on the eBay stuff. Amazon, that is debatable. I'll get a commission on. Or if you want to help me in another way, you could buy me a coffee. There's a link below in the description, and then I get a little bit of money, and that would be great too. Thank you if you do that. And anyway, even if you don't, thank you for being here, and thank you for joining me today. I hope you make it to the end of this video. I hope it's not too boring, Sometimes I sort of start them and I really don't know where they're going, and I just think I'll just throw it away. As I did recently, you know, I'll go out on a expedition and I don't like the video, so I don't make the film. So the only ones that get published are the ones I'm reasonably happy with. There's been one or two that I've sort of thought, I shouldn't have posted. But I try to only post what I think is good stuff. I hope you like them, and thanks for being here. Let's get some food. Some nice homemade soup. Cheers. I also bought this little electric fan. It's 12 volt, plugs into the cigar lighter. It blows hot or it blows cold, so it'll come in handy in the summer too. It's just like a little hairdryer, but sort of stands up. Not going to say it kicks out much heat. You can barely feel, you know, it ain't great. Cheers. So today I have another true life disappearance story for you. It happened here in the Alpine National Park, where I am now, in Australia's high country. It was the 24th of October 2019 when 38-year-old Niels Becker from Melbourne set off to spend his 39th birthday hiking in the Mount Buller region of the high country. The high country was special to Niels, it's said, because it gave him inspiration for his prose, poetry and music that he liked to write about the region. Although an experienced hiker, Niels wasn't taking this planned hike lightly. He'd even taken to hiking around Melbourne with a very heavy backpack on to simulate the weight he'd be carrying and to prepare his already fit body for his quest. His parents reported that he was a strong, fit and resilient hiker and was feeling on top of the world before he set off. He was well prepared for the hike. He had ample camping gear and plenty of supplies, and his parents said he also took his skiing equipment with him. Although October is well into springtime in Australia, he was clearly expecting there to still be snow high up. Niels had borrowed a telephone from his mother, and it's said to be an old phone and therefore wouldn't hold charge for very long until it needed another charge. He made his way in his car from Melbourne to the Upper Jameson Hut, somewhere that is over 40 kilometres into the national park, accessible only by 4x4 track. Niels messaged his parents whilst he was at the Upper Jameson Hut, and he was planning to hike in an anti-clockwise loop, returning there on the 29th of October. That would be the following Tuesday. Niels hadn't divulged his exact route to anyone, although it is said he reported his plans to the Mansfield police before he started his hike, and it's believed he was to start his hike by following the Australian Alps walking track. The AAWT, as it's known, is a 687 kilometre long hiking route across the Australian Alps, which is all part of the Great Dividing Range, which runs north to south along the eastern side of Australia. The Australian Alps are over 3 million acres of mountainous, semi-wilderness bushland. Niels' plan was to hike from the Jameson Hut, with his next stop being the Vallejo Gantner Hut, some 35 kilometres away. I speculate only here. He left the Jameson Hut sometime perhaps in the afternoon, hiked until around 6:30 with the sun setting around 7:30. He camped along that route to the Vallejo Gantner Hut, then continued on, arriving there later on the Friday. That's the 25th of October. His 39th birthday. The next time he was heard from was Saturday, the 26th of October, messaging his parents from the Vallejo Gantner Hut. So whether he'd just arrived there or he'd slept the night, I speculate he had slept the night there. He told his parents in that message that he was going to walk on the AAWT a short while and then divert off towards Mount Sterling. After that message, Niels has never been heard from again, nor seen. No one knows what's happened to Niels from that very day, Saturday the 26th of October. He told his parents in that message that the phone signal wasn't very good and that he wouldn't contact them again until he arrived at Mount Buller. And that was going to be after Mount Sterling, I suppose. I only speculate, but that would be a day or two after the 26th. Looking at weather conditions around that time in 2019, Niels would have been experiencing some beautifully starry night skies as they were mostly clear. But those clear skies would be bringing some frigid temperatures at the elevations Niels was hiking at, around 1,500 metres. And he was not only hiking at them, but he was camping at them too. As far as I can see, Niels could have taken one of two routes to get to Mount Sterling, if that's where he was going next. One is a 21-kilometre Stanley's Name spur walking track that looks quite exposed at some points. And the second one is a 27-kilometre hike on the Howitt spur track. Again, that looks pretty tough as well. I speculate that Niels took the 21-kilometre Stanley's Name spur track. Now let's suppose he took that route. I haven't done it myself, but reading up on it, it requires a high level of fitness and high level of hiking experience because it is pretty tough and it's one of the most difficult grade hiking trails. If he'd have cleared the first kilometre, which is the most difficult part of that trail, he'd have continued on and perhaps set up camp for the night along the route and camped there on Saturday night. And then Sunday morning, he'd have continued on towards Mount Sterling on that route, perhaps camping at Mount Sterling on the Sunday night. This takes us to Sunday, the 27th of October. He's now got 2 days to get back to his car. Just remember, this is all speculation from now on because no one knows what happened. Niels had said that he was going to go to Mount Buller, possibly for skiing, possibly that's why he took his ski gear. And we can suppose that perhaps he spent Monday at Mount Buller and then camped out for the night. And then when he woke up on Tuesday, he could have taken the 4-mile spur Brox Road track, which isn't awfully long. It's only about 10 kilometres, making his way back to the Upper Jameson hut where his car was waiting for him. This is all my speculation only. No one actually knows his planned route at all. Well, I can't find it on the internet anywhere, so presume that is the case. What we do know is that he promised his parents he would stay safe and shelter in one of the many refuge huts in the area should his progress become compromised in any way, such as by weather, illness or injury. He sounds like a good lad, so I'm sure he would have done had it been possible. We don't know if he got to Mount Sterling at all, and it is very likely he didn't get to Mount Buller, or at least not long enough to call his parents, because remember, he was supposed to call them from Mount Buller because communications would be better in that area because it's a very popular ski and mountain bike resort. Perhaps he skied in the area and got injured or lost attempting a steep off-piste downhill skiing section. His parents, Pia and Joanna, and his sister Karen started to worry when they hadn't heard from him from Mount Buller on the Sunday or Monday. When they hadn't heard from him on the day he was due to leave the high country, they raised the alarm and reported him missing to the authorities. And that was on Tuesday, the 29th of October. First of all, his family were full of optimism that he'd soon be found, his sister writing on her Facebook profile that she thought Niels would emerge from the bush with some epic tale. She also said that Niels was strong and smart and they believed that he'd be using all his skills and experience to hang on until help arrives. The search commenced at 7 a.m. either on the Wednesday the 30th or Thursday the 31st. I'm not sure which because there's conflicting reports on the internet, so I'd like to think it was on the Wednesday. More than 70 people, including police on the ground and in the air, with assistance from the SES, Bush Search and Rescue, as well as volunteers, set out searching the huts and the trails. They had over 800 square kilometres of ground to cover, which would have been only part of his route by my calculations. If my speculation was correct, the search route should have been even bigger. His family were proactive, asking for help via the media in a press conference on the Thursday, asking other hikers to report anything or anyone seen in that area at the time. Also asking other hikers if anyone knows of significant places or challenges in that area they would appreciate knowing, perhaps so they could search extra well in that area. Right now we were trying to think of what logic he might have used to stay safe, is what they said at the time. They also expressed their thanks to the search team, saying, "Our admiration and thanks to the rescue teams." Niels was hiking and skiing in the area with treacherously steep rocky hillsides. To me, I think it's highly likely that he had fallen or lost control and fell into a deep ravine that had heavy bush cover. The senior sergeant overseeing the search operation was Damien Keegan. He had some theories. One was that Niels may have delayed his 4th day of the hike due to poor weather and then had to cram in extra kilometres. This could have meant Niels would be hiking at dusk or even in the dark, and that isn't something you'd want to do with such steep ravines and this terrain. The search crews scoured the trails and the huts in and around Niels' proposed hiking area, but poor weather had held them back a bit, and remembering if it was frigid temperatures, Niels may have just been holding on until the rescue got there. Any hold-ups wasn't good for him. The police could find no clues at all, and any reported sightings were soon discounted. Keegan was pretty much convinced that Niels hadn't completed the 4th day of his hike, since there was phone signal at Mount Buller and he hadn't called, so he hadn't got to Mount Buller. If my speculation was correct, Niels would have been hiking the second half of the Stanley's Name Spur Trail that day, which is known to be quite treacherous. The search continued for less than 2 weeks, Keegan stating that he thought Niels would have succumbed to hypothermia by now, or that he had even left the search area. But if he'd left the search area, I think he would have got out. For me, I don't buy that, because if he was fit enough to leave the search area, he would have eventually got to civilization. There was also a report of him having crossed into New South Wales, but I don't buy that either, because that's like 100 kilometres at least to any of the parts of New South Wales as the crow flies, so a whole lot longer to hike. I just don't buy that at all. And if he had got to New South Wales, he'd have had to cross at least 3 surfaced roads where he could have been rescued, so I don't buy that one at all either. But please feel free to correct me if I'm missing something. The week after Niels disappeared, another hiker was in the area, Marty Felber, and he reported that the weather had been very unpredictable. One moment he was worried about the sunburn from the 20-degree heat, and within 20 minutes, while setting up his tent, the temperature had dropped 10 degrees, and by that night it had dropped another 10 degrees and it was hailing and snowing. Senior Sergeant Damien Keegan also said that he thought Niels had had an accident and that foul play wasn't involved, and I tend to agree with him. With the extreme temperatures at the time, an injury that incapacitated him would have meant hypothermia setting in very quickly. Sadly, to this day, Niels has never been found. and never re-emerged. We can speculate. Supposing he had a fall and was incapacitated, would a better telephone have helped him? Would a personal locator beacon have helped him? Would plotting his exact route and sending it to someone have helped him? Would hiking with other people have helped him? Well, we'll never know the answers to these questions. How incapacitated he was, possibly severely. Then he may have been unconscious and succumbed to hypothermia before he even woke. So a phone or a PLB would be no use at all unless he managed to press the button or someone was tracking him. Had he been lucid and unable to get back on the trail, then yes, a PLB could certainly have helped him. I'm not sure about a better telephone because there isn't much coverage in those mountains, but possibly. If someone knew Neil's exact route, perhaps he would have been found by now for sure. If he'd have had friends with him, I speculate, yes, he would have survived, unless they all suffered the same fate. I am curious as to the method of navigation Niels was using. So if he didn't have a GPS device or a telephone that did navigation, then I'm thinking possibly he used a paper map and compass. As archaic as that is, it's very unlikely to get him totally lost. He could have always headed on one bearing to get himself to safety. Niels may have even just walked off the trail for a bush poo and either got lost or bitten by a snake, because the snakes would be emerging from hibernation around that time. There's a remote chance he could have been struck by a 4x4. Unlikely, but it is a possibility, and that his body was removed from the area. It has happened before, as we know. Possibly Niels is alive and well somewhere. Wouldn't that be nice? But it can't be, because he hasn't contacted his family, and he was obviously very much a family guy and was said to be an absolutely fantastic uncle. So I can't see him not contacting his family, can you? Sadly, none of this speculation will help Niels or his family, but we can learn lessons from him and try and make sure it doesn't happen to us. And it certainly makes me aware that I must be better at plotting my routes and sending them to my daughter when I'm off out mountain biking and bike packing, because I'm terrible at it. Sometimes I don't even tell her I've gone. So that's a lesson learned from Niels. My thoughts are with his parents and his sister, who to this day, nearly 5 years on, be 5 years in 2 months' time, still have no closure. So my best wishes to them for finding Niels one day, someday, soon. If you were in the area or heard anything, heard some whispers, heard some gossip, put Pierre, Joanna and Karen out of their misery and contact Crime Stoppers now on 1800 333 000. And that is the sad tale of Niels Becker. I'm just going to make myself a cup of tea before I turn in for the night. It's so warm in here, I've turned the Cupid off. So Cupid's off, stove is on. Again, the windows are cracked and I've had no alerts. It is 9 o'clock. Actually, I'm a liar. See, I am a freaking liar. It is 3 minutes to 9. It's not 9 o'clock, it's 3 minutes to 9. So that's quite a good time to get my head down. I've got a really good feeling about this sleeping bag. I think it's going to be good. I hope I'm not disappointed in the morning. In fact, what I need to do is not light the Cupid and see how this bag does with no additional heat, all on its own. If I have to light the Cupid, that means it's not done its job, I guess. I'm going to take some temperatures of the truck tonight. I don't know what's logical. Do I take it in here or outside? I guess I take it in here. I'm loving this net I've got in here. So this net carries all my window shades and it's really good. Really, really good. While I'm in here, I can just chuck everything up here. I can... Oh gosh, I'm tired. 20 night, see you tomorrow. Morning. It's about 6:30, getting on for 7 o'clock. I'm just going to have a cup of coffee. I slept really well. In fact, I barely woke up in the night, just briefly a couple of times. But I was plenty warm enough in my new sleeping bag. I wish I bought it years ago. It was so easy to use. So you can see my Hero 8 died. It really is on its last legs and I must replace it. I'll have this other coffee and then I'm going to get up. I don't feel like getting up, I feel like staying in here nice and warm. Got quite a bit of a headache when I woke up. And no, the gas wasn't on. It's nothing to do with carbon monoxide. It's just this cold I've got. So my little thermometer, it records all of the temperatures to your phone. And so I just had a look through the night and it was ranging between 6 degrees and 4.3 was the lowest. When I woke up, actually, it was 4.3 degrees. That's inside here. Anyway, so really pleased with that. So this sleeping bag, great so far. So what I might do this morning is just nip up the road to Dinner Plain, which is the next little town, and there's a ski shop there and they sell second-hand gear, and I thought I might go and see if they've got some second-hand boots, cheap enough, and probably they won't have that'll suit my skis. I might have to buy skis as well. So condensation wise, yeah, there was a little bit. I don't know about on the, let's have a look. Since I just took this off, it's got a bit misty, but it is not wet. No condensation. There's a bit of mist down the bottom there. So you can see there's lots on the windscreen. So with this, I hadn't noticed, but it actually had sort of slumped down a bit. So I pulled it up earlier, so it's a little bit higher than it was. But with this, if you don't tie these down, when you brake, they all fly out. So I just simply put a bungee around it and that stops them flying out. Let's get out into this big bad wet world, and I need something to eat and I need to go to the bush bog. It keeps me agile, if nothing else. Squirming about in here. Oh, it's chilly outside. My legs are cold already. Anyway, the trails aren't going good. They're much worse than yesterday. It's very wet, so it's above 0 degrees. I'm going to make my way to Dinner Plain, see if I can find some proper ski gear. I've driven the 2 minutes to Dinner Plain and I'm going to go into Hoy Skis and see if there's anything second hand I can get cheap. Okay, so $280 lighter. I bought some second hand rental cross country skis with a much better binding. They were $200 and I bought some second hand boots. driving down the mountain now. I'm at about 1100 metres. There's no snow here. But the high country is looking beautiful. It's semi-sunshine, sort of sun, blue sky and clouds. And it's looking absolutely stunning. I've got the skis for next time. Hopefully we'll have another icy blast from the Antarctic, and this will be covered in snow in a few weeks' time. I've proved a few things out. The wee bags were good. They've actually got gel in them, so when you wee in them it turns to gel inside. I didn't realise that. Little electric fan isn't that great for the cold, but primarily I bought it for the summer to dry out my wetsuit, so hopefully that will serve that purpose. The Cupid is just great, proved that out again. Last time I camped here I remembered my wood for making a fire, but didn't make a fire. This time I forgot it, and I would love to have gone in the hut, lit a fire and told you the story of poor Niels Becker. I had a great time. The skiing I did, I really enjoyed. It made me aware that skiing is probably easier to learn than snowboarding, but I reckon you could do some serious soft tissue damage skiing. But yeah, I did notice that when you fall, you can fall at some funny angles. But I can't wait to go again. I wish I'd bought these before. I'm really keen to speed up. Anyway, a fabulous time was had. I'm going home with a big smile on my face. And as I say, the high country, driving down here, it's looking absolutely stunning. Here, take a look. This is the pretty little mountain town of Harriettville. It's at the bottom of Mount Hotham. I took a different route home than usual. I went down the Tawonga Gap Road and then down the Kiwa Valley. It was absolutely glorious, and I just kept stopping at all the viewpoints to look down across the hills, mountains and the valleys. It was beautiful. If you found this video interesting, got something from it, or simply just enjoyed it, please signify that by hitting that like button. That would really help the channel if you do that. And also, if you haven't subscribed, it would be great if you thought about doing that too. Thank you for joining me today. I shall close this video here, and until next time, it's a goodbye for now.
Apprenons le cha-cha-cha. Apprenons le cha-cha-cha. Le cha-cha-cha. Le cha-cha-cha. Le cha-cha-cha. Le cha-cha-cha. Apprenons le cha-cha-cha. Apprenons le cha-cha-cha.
Nous commençons par l'étude du pas de base, le va-et-vient. Le va-et-vient. Le va-et-vient.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Apprenons le cha-cha-cha. Apprenons le cha-cha-cha. Apprenons le cha-cha-cha. Le cha-cha-cha. Le cha-cha-cha. Le cha-cha-cha. Le cha-cha-cha. Cha-cha-cha. Cha-cha-cha.